It started like a dream. I was 34, working steady as a project manager in construction. Life simple but good. Then I met Emily at a friend's birthday party. She was 29, a sharp, driven woman studying for her master's in healthcare management. We hit it off immediately, laughing over drinks, swapping stories about work, books, and dreams for the future. It felt easy, like we were both adults who knew what we wanted. Soon we were inseparable, late-night takeouts in my apartment, long weekends at her place. When her lease ran out, I offered to cover the difference so she could focus on her studies. I took on most of the bills, rent, utilities, groceries, while she finished school. I even helped her land an internship at my buddy's clinic by pulling a few strings. It wasn't charity, it felt like partnership. We talked about moving in together after she graduated, maybe even getting a house down the line. I was even looking at rings, thinking about asking her to marry me when she finished school. We'd sit on my couch, her head on my shoulder, talking about the future like it was ours to build together. At the time, I thought I was investing in us, our life, our dreams, our future. Looking back now, I realize I was the only one making plans. It happened on a rainy Tuesday, the kind that makes the whole world feel heavier. We just finished dinner, takeout from that Thai place she loved, and I was clearing the table when she said it. No warning, no build-up, just a quiet, almost casual, "I think I'm moving out. I've been talking to someone who's more aligned with my goals. His name's Adam. He's a partner at a law firm. We're seeing where it goes." She couldn't meet my eyes, her voice almost rehearsed, like she'd been practicing this speech in front of a mirror. I set the plates down, took a breath. My heart wasn't racing, just still, like the engine had been turned off. "You're leaving?" I asked, just to hear it again. "Yeah," she said softly. "I need someone who can offer more stability. You're great, but I just don't see a future with you." More stability, that was rich, considering I'd been paying her rent for the past year, covered her student loans, and practically built her resume by getting her that internship. I didn't raise my voice, no begging, no questions, just a long, quiet stare across the table, taking in the woman I thought I knew. She left that night with a suitcase and a smile that said she thought she'd leveled up. And me? I just stood there, watching the door close, realizing that sometimes the person you build a life around is only building a stepping stone for theirs. The next morning, I got to work. No tears, no yelling, just quiet, methodical steps. First, I called the school's billing office, canceled the tuition payments I'd been covering for her. The administrator sounded surprised, asked if I was sure. I was. Then I logged into our shared accounts, cut off the credit cards she'd been using for emergencies. Those little charges had been adding up for months. I closed the joint Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, the little things that kept our lives woven together. By lunchtime, I had my locksmith over. The locks on my place changed. I wasn't about to risk her swinging by like nothing happened, acting like she still had a right to my home, my space, my life. Next, a meeting with my lawyer. I laid out the situation, every detail. He nodded, took notes, and helped me draft a formal notice. All support terminated, all shared resources revoked. It wasn't spiteful, it was practical. She'd made her choice, walked away, thinking she could keep the benefits while exploring greener pastures. But life doesn't work that way. I wasn't going to fund her new relationship. I wasn't going to be her safety net while she chased someone else's idea of success. I was done. Cold, clean, done. It started a week later. First a text, "Hey, can we talk?" Then another. I didn't mean for things to go like this. By the second week, the calls began, voicemails spilling into my inbox, her voice cracking, apologizing, explaining how Adam wasn't what she thought, how things got complicated, and she missed what we had. She even showed up at my building once, knocking on my door like nothing had happened. I didn't open it, watched her through the peephole, standing there with tear-streaked cheeks in that same practiced tone she'd used the night she left, except now it was desperation, not certainty. The messages shifted from apologies to please. "I'm struggling without you. Please, can you help me cover the rent this month? Just until I get back on my feet." But I didn't answer. I didn't reply. Not because I was angry, not because I wanted revenge, because she had made her choice. And it wasn't me. She'd gambled, thinking there would always be a soft landing, a safety net woven by my loyalty. But life doesn't hand out second chances just because you regret your first choice. I deleted her number, blocked her on every platform. Her problems weren't mine to solve anymore. Let her learn that actions have consequences. A few days after she stopped by The calls started coming from her friends, then her family. Her sister left a voicemail. She's really struggling right now, you know. After everything you did for her, you could at least hear her out. Her mom called twice, voice tight with disapproval. I don't know what happened, but she's going through a hard time. Be the bigger person, please. Even her old college friend, someone I barely knew, sent a message. Man, it's not right to cut someone off like that. We all make mistakes, don't you think she deserves another chance? Each time, I listened, took a breath, and deleted the message. Finally, her dad called, a calm, measured voice. Look, son, you were good to her, we all know that. But maybe she just got overwhelmed. She's young, still figuring things out. She made a mistake, sure, but don't let pride get in the way. Help her back on her feet. Just this once. I paused, then replied, sir, I understand where you're coming from, but I didn't make this decision lightly. I supported her through everything: school, rent, career. She chose to leave that behind. She made her choice. Now I'm making mine. This conversation is over. There was a long silence, then a quiet, all right. I see. I hung up. They wanted me to feel guilty, to forget the disrespect, the betrayal, but this wasn't about revenge. It was about boundaries. I wasn't going to save someone who didn't value what I gave. And I wasn't going to let their expectations drag me back into a situation I'd already left behind. A few months later, I started hearing things through mutual friends. I learned that Adam, the man she left me for, had moved on after just a couple of months, left her high and dry in a one-bedroom apartment she couldn't afford. She tried picking up extra shifts at a local cafe, but the pay wasn't enough to cover the rent. I heard she dropped out of her program, couldn't keep up with tuition once I stopped paying. Her social media told the rest of the story, posts drying up, no more girl boss captions, no more brunch pics with friends, just the occasional vague quote about learning from mistakes or the pain of growth. I didn't engage, didn't comment, didn't ask questions. I spent my time differently, took up woodworking, something I'd always wanted to try. I started running again, hitting the trails in the early morning before work. I focused on my career, landed a promotion that had been just out of reach for years because I'd been so focused on supporting someone else's ambitions. I realized how much of my life I'd put on hold for her. Now, my evenings were mine, my weekends were free. My energy went into projects that fulfilled me, not patching up someone else's chaos. Her world was crumbling, sure, but it wasn't my job to fix it. Not anymore. It was a chilly evening in October when the final message came in, an email this time, long and rambling. She wrote about how hard things had been, how she never meant for any of this to happen, how Adam wasn't who she thought he was, and how she realized she'd thrown away something real. She said she was sorry, said she missed the way we used to cook together, how I used to help her with her resume, how I always believed in her. She asked if we could meet, just to talk, said she was willing to make things right. I stared at the screen for a long moment, the weight of her words settling in like dust. Then I opened a fresh email, typed 2 sentences, and hit send. I'm glad you've realized some things, but this chapter is closed. I wish you well, but I won't be part of your life anymore. That was it. No drama, no back and forth. She sent another email the next day, longer, more desperate, filled with promises and half-baked plans for the future. I didn't reply. A week later, she tried calling, blocked, then a knock at my door, soft, insistent. I didn't answer, just sat in the dark, sipping tea, listening to the rain outside while her quiet knocking faded into nothing. I'd made my decision. I wasn't her safety net. I wasn't her backup plan. And I wasn't going back. Looking back, I see it clearly now. I spent so much time and energy trying to build a future with someone who never saw me as part of theirs. I learned that no matter how much you give, money, time, support, you can't make someone stay. You can't carry someone else's dreams if they aren't willing to carry their own. Boundaries aren't just a suggestion, they're a necessity. I'm no longer someone's stepping stone, someone's backup plan, someone's safety net. I'm not an ATM for other people's mistakes. I'm a man who chooses himself.